Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I did a tutorial a few years back where I showed you how to apply resin to a piece of artwork, and since then I've gained loads of new tips and techniques on applying resin, and I just wanted to share that all with you today and show you an updated version of how I apply resin to my artwork now. So I'm going to head right on into the process. This is the piece I'm going to resin today. It is on canvas. It's actually been varnished, but I decided that I would prefer to have resin on this one. It's got gold leaf. I think it will look really nice having a shiny coat and hopefully bring out some of these really nice gold features here. I'll go through my materials first. I've got plastic covering to cover the surface. I've got some gloves to make sure I don't get resin on my hand. I've got some spatulas to stir the resin with. The resin I've got today is called Art Resin. I'll put descriptions in the links below for all the products that I'm using today. This is a great resin. I'm near the end of this bottle now, so I'm going to finish that. That's the resin, then I've got the hardener as well. Now I've got these, they're called painted pyramids, and this is a new product that I'm using to prop my paintings up instead of using cups. So in my last video I used cups, but for better convenience and also to reduce plastic waste and to make sure everything is level, these are great. So it holds up to 90 kg, and obviously because they're all the same size you're going to know that the painting is going to be level, and you put it under each corner, and it also means that it shouldn't be sticking out too much, so you shouldn't be getting resin on the products. If you do, you can get it off quite easily with alcohol isopropyl, or just leave it on there, to be honest with you, if it hardens. So those I'm going to use to prop the painting up. And then I've also got some scales to measure out my resin. The first thing I'm going to do is cover my surface. So if you've got a really large painting, this one's not too large. Today I haven't even got because it's quite a small canvas, I've literally just got the wooden frame round all four corners. Sometimes if it's a large canvas it will have a wooden beam there and also maybe across there. And these sections here tend to sag under large weights of paint or resin and hardener, because the resin and hardener is quite heavy. So what some people do is they just mix a tiny bit of resin and hardener together and they paint it on with a brush and let that dry over 24 hours, and that just means that the whole top section of canvas hardens, and then it's a lot easier to pour a top coat of resin on top. As mine's quite a small painting, I don't need to do that, but that's just a tip for all of you who are going to be doing larger paintings. So first of all, we need to measure the resin. So there's a really helpful website called artresin.com, and on there is a epoxy resin calculator, so you can put in the length of your canvas and the width, and it will let you know how much resin you'll need. So for me it came out in gallons and litres, but obviously you can convert that to pounds or ounces using Google or whatever. I'm going to put the link down in the description as well for that website so that you can make the calculation yourself on your own piece of work. Obviously you don't want to waste resin, so it's a really good idea to measure your canvas first. Mine is 50 centimetres by 40 centimetres, so it's saying I need 0.08 of a gallon, and I've converted that to ounces, and that's come out at 12.8 ounces. So obviously I'm going to halve that because that is the resin and hardener together. So half of that is 6.4, so I need 6.4 of the resin and 6.4 of the hardener in fluid ounces. So I've got my scales here, and I'm just going to actually pop it under the cover there so that I don't get any resin on it. So this is just a bucket that I use for resin all the time. I'm going to pop that on top. I'm going to put my gloves on as well so I don't get any resin on myself. Most of the time I do also wear a mask just to protect from the fumes. I won't today as I'm trying to talk to you during the video, but that is something you should really look into when you're using alcohol isopropyl or alcohol inks or resin. So 6.4 ounces is what I need. So it's always best to pour the hardener in first. And then we're going to do the same amount of resin. So I've got my resin and hardener in there. So I would say the rough amount of stirring time per 200 grams, which is around 7 ounces, stir for 2 minutes. So I've got 12.8 ounces, so I'm going to mix it for 4 minutes. So I've set a timer for 4 minutes and I'm just going to start to mix that together. You will start to get bubbles, but that's fine, that's just it working. Now if you're doing a larger piece, I would suggest you use a mixer and a paddle. So that's like an electric mixer, and that means you can mix a large amount of resin at a time and it's going to be mixed very well. Okay, so I've mixed for 4 minutes, and what I would say is just before pouring it on, I'm just literally going to go down all the sides to make sure there's no unmixed resin or hardener, because if you do have some resin and hardener that's unmixed properly, it will affect the final look of the canvas and you can get really sticky points that will never dry. If you do have that, by the way, I do have a video on how to fix sticky or wet resin, so I'm just going to put that on the screen now. But yeah, just make sure you scrape the bottom really well and the sides. We are going to use the pyramid painters and prop the painting up. So I put 2 pyramid painters on the back and 1 on the front so that it's very slightly leaning forward, and this just means that because the resin moves very slowly, it just means that it can start to go off the edges on this side, and then we can take it off after 10 minutes and it will go around the edges on this side. That's just how I've been doing it. What I would say is when applying the resin is not to use foam brushes. The brushes, all the little bits come out, so I've got some here, and it will also create air pockets in the resin, so it's not a good idea to use these. You can use a foam roller because there's no air bubbles in these, so that could work, but I like to just use a old card. So I've got a Body Shop card, this is just an old one. But anyway, these kind of cards will work great because they're flat, they're plastic, you can peel the resin off. So I'm literally going to pour my resin on like so. And I try and avoid scraping the sides just because that is most likely where there might be any unmixed resin. If I need more, it's always handy to have a little bit left in the bucket, so I'll leave that. And then I'm just going to use my card to swipe the resin to the corners. It should, as you can see, it's automatically flowing this way because it's elevated on this side, which is quite handy. And I'm just going to do it up to the edge of the canvas first, and then it should just do its own thing. Obviously it's an idea, I didn't show this I'm afraid, but it's an idea if you're doing a professional piece and you're wanting to sell it, to put tape all on the bottom side of the canvas. Once that's on, and then I'm going to use a torch to get some of the bubbles out. So I'm just going to spray it. So it's that shiny that you can see my reflection in the painting. So I am now going to leave that for 10 minutes. Hopefully the resin should start to, because this side is elevated, it should start to pull itself this way, go over the sides quite nicely, and then I'll take off the back two and do the same thing. So I finished torching it for the last time, so it'll be interesting to see what it looks like in the morning. If you can see all these patches of blue, it's because of this light, this ring light here. It has got quite a few flecks of gold leaf, and that's just natural because that's the piece that I did. It wasn't fully stuck down, but that's fine. This is just showing you how I apply my resin to my canvases. So this is the shine on it from the side. It's got quite a good shine on it. But yeah, we'll see what it looks like in the morning. Just as a side note, after I finished videoing this tutorial, I wanted to add that I completely forgot to cover my painting overnight, which meant that all the dust particles and whatever else is floating in the air landed on the painting, which means that you can see little specks and bits. So what I would say is, what I usually do is cover it with a cardboard box, something that's large enough to cover the edges and the sides so that the resin doesn't touch it. Okay, so it's been a couple of days and I just wanted to show you quickly how it dried. So obviously you've got the reflection in it, it's dried flat, so yeah, it's turned out pretty well. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video today. If you liked it, please hit the subscribe button, and I hope to see you all very soon. Bye!